120 people have died and hundreds more are still missing after the worst flooding in parts of Western Europe for several months. In Germany, emergency crews are searching for dozens who are unaccounted for, with the Chancellor and
I've thought about it. I don't know whether I'm prepared or not. Yeah, well, we've sorted out the drainage in the house, so we think we're probably okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the protocol is for flooding. What do you think?
Definitely not. There's absolutely no way, especially for like a situation like mine.
When my hometown got flooded, the council wasn't that helpful and people had to buy their own sandbags to prevent it going into their stores, and it affected our whole community. Like some shops we just couldn't go in because it was just completely flooded with the carpets, and they had to tear up all their carpets, and the council took no help towards that, and like the business is losing money.
Yes. I live at the top of a very big hill, at the height of Plymouth, so the chances of it affecting me would be very minimal.
That's a really good question. Had you asked me that 9 months ago, before I started this project, I'd have probably said to you, no, I'm not prepared. However, 9 months in, I probably could say, yes, I am more prepared. I understand more about flood barrages that you can put into personal space, so personal doorways. I understand about sandbags and how they work. I understand about taking things off the floor and making sure that you take your belongings, precious belongings that is, upstairs and out the way, that you can get bags to, obviously put important documents into bags and things like that. So yes, I do know more, and I am a little bit more prepared than I was, say, 9 months ago.
People should be aware that wherever they live, it can actually affect flood risk in other areas by things like what they put down their drains, and also how much hard standing they have around their property as well. And I've recently been doing some work with the Flood Action Group in Plymouth, and so they're now really concentrating on their community emergency action plan, and they're also taking practical steps themselves. So for instance, one person is removing their carpets from their ground floor level, and they're also now storing all of their precious belongings up at the first floor so that it doesn't get damaged if the water comes in. Okay, well, Plymouth has, it's actually bordered on 3 sides by tidal waters. So we've got the Plymouth Sound and the Atlantic Ocean. We've also got the River Tamar and also the River Plym. So that means that it can be affected by tidal flooding. It's also at risk of flooding from rivers, and we have some surface water flooding risks because we have a Victorian drainage system and heavily urbanised areas, and that means that sometimes that system gets overwhelmed. In Plymouth, luckily we don't have flooding the same as places like Yorkshire, so they don't tend to have rivers that burst their banks a lot, but we do have about 5,000 homes that are at risk from surface water flooding, and that flooding tends to occur really quickly but also lasts quite a short time, so it'll go for a couple of hours and then resolve. We've got about 1,000 houses that are at risk from tidal flooding, and we've also got about 450 houses at risk from river flooding. And we find that if people's water goes into people's houses, it can be really disruptive and also destructive. It takes quite a long time for those houses to recover, and it can also be really distressing for the homeowners as well. And then we also find that if roads get flooded, then people can't take their normal journeys to work or school.
Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, with global warming as it is, sea level rises are going to go up, which means that we're also going to have, obviously being on the coast here, we'll have tidal locking. That makes things difficult for sewage to escape when we have high rainfalls. The increase in rainfall is going to have a massive impact. We already have an overcapacity Victorian sewage system. With the increased rainfall, that's just going to get worse. So yes, climate change will have a massive impact. We want to make sure people are prepared.
And then as far as the BRIC initiative is concerned, that stands for Building Resilience in Communities, and that's a 2-year Interreg-EU funded project, and that's all about building resilience in communities and building their flood awareness. So we have main objectives of making sure that people are prepared for their if flooding were to occur, and also that they can recover well when flooding occurs. And we're working mainly in 2 areas within the city, so that's Lipson, Vale and around Trefusis Park, and also in St Levan Park as well, and the areas surrounding there. And we're working on helping people to be more flood risk aware.